4 Ways to Teach with Improv in the Classroom, episode 553.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today's sponsor is E for Effort. Stay tuned to the end of the show to learn how this easy-to-use system gives feedback on effort to your students and makes it easy. And you can get a 30-day free trial. Stay tuned. Today, we're talking with Mel Paradis. She has been working with improv with groups from preschoolers through adults for more than 25 years. And she's author of Teaching Improv, the Essential Handbook. So, Mel, for those who don't know, what is improv?
So improv is basically acting without a script. So if you've ever seen the show Whose Line Is It Anyway, then you've seen improv scenes being performed. Generally, there's short form improv and long form improv. I focus on short form improv. And that's when you have a bunch of different games. We get a suggestion, and then the scene is created based off of that suggestion.
So Mel, why improv in the classroom?
Well, improv is an amazing thing to add in your classroom because it is part of those skills that we are looking to add into our classes with the 4 C's, adding that creativity and the critical thinking and the collaboration and the communication. There's that big buzzword of, growth mindset. And in improv, nothing is fixed. We don't have a script that we're working off of. We just need to use a couple of rules that we stick to so that we can move forward and add to things and be able to go with the flow, which is such an important skill to teach all of our students.
And as we say in the business world, learning to think on your feet. So yes. I know you have 9 rules in the book, and we're going to go into 4 today with some examples. So which one of your rules?
So the one that I like to start every year off with is teamwork and trust. And so being able to allow for greater risk-taking and creativity in our classrooms, we need to make sure that our kids feel comfortable with each other and be comfortable with being ready to fail. And improv is all about kind of failing and just rolling with what we're doing. And so I use this earlier in the year to form a collaborative class. And then throughout the year, I like to do little teamwork trust icebreaker games to give a fun break when kids are just a little burned out or tired. This helps them get back into being excited about learning.
So you want to give us an example?
One of my favorite games is called TenSecond Object, and I'll split my class into different groups of 4 to 6 students, and I will call out a random object like a washing machine and give them 10 seconds, and they need to create a washing machine with their bodies.
Oh, how much fun is that? I love it. Okay. What's our second?
Second rule is make associations. So learning to connect unrelated things can help with any sort of creative brainstorming. And anyone who's out there doing design thinking, this is a great thing for them to use within their classroom.
Okay. What's our example there?
2 things is a game that I like to do. And so you pick 2 random words. Kids can do this either individually or with groups, and they have to connect those words in the shortest amount of connections. So for instance, I might say scissors, house. Kids need to figure out, okay, how do I get from scissors to house? Well, scissors, you would cut wrapping paper. And wrapping paper, I wrap presents with. I think of presents with Christmas, Christmas with Santa Claus with a chimney, and chimneys on a house. So here we have a way of connecting scissors and house, and it just gets kids thinking outside of themselves and outside of their original connections.
Oh, fun. Did you say you had another one for this one?
Another one is complementing actions games. So if you're wanting to just get your kids up and moving, you can have one kid start with some sort of an action like hitting a baseball, and the person next to them needs to do an action that would be related to that. So maybe they're going to jump up and down like they're cheering on their team. And then the next person has to make an association with the person next to them who is jumping up and down. So now maybe they're at a rock concert. So then this kid is going to start playing air guitar like they're at a rock concert. And it just continues to go around in the circle.
Okay. So what's your third rule?
Third rule is the one most people know associated with improv, and that's yes and. And so with yes and, you accept what is given to you, and you don't just stay there and keep it, you add to it. And this is a really important one with our social emotional learning and going with the flow. A great game that many people have played before is yes and. Basically, you have your group, you stand in a circle, and you start a story. You say, one day I was walking down the street, and the next person says yes and then they can add to it. A great way of putting this in your classroom is turn this into a 5-word group story. And so you can pick out 5 words from your vocabulary that you're working on and put them on the board. And at some point during the story, as each student adds one sentence to the story, you need to get in these 5 words. So not everyone has to add in one of those words, but somebody, for instance, you might have photosynthesis is your word. And so maybe one person is saying, I was walking on the street, I picked a flower. And someone then could say, yes. And this was really sad because the flower was in the middle of photosynthesizing and now wouldn't be able to do that anymore because I had picked it.
Well, that's fun. I could see a million ways to use that.
Yeah.
Okay. You have another rule. What is it?
Tell a story. So I feel like everything that we do in life is all about telling stories. It's a skill that's going to help you whether you are teaching kindergarten, middle grades, high school, college, and you can get through most content through storytelling. A great game that goes in with this is conducted stories. So you can get anywhere from 5 to 8 students standing in front of the class and you act as the conductor. And as you point to students, they go ahead and share a couple of lines. You pull your hand away and they stop, and then you point to someone new and they continue the story. You could use this as a review for telling events in history, or you could use it to retell a story from a book that you've been reading in ELA, but maybe telling it from a different character's perspective. So there's great ways that you can add this into your content.
Mel, let's talk about our precious, beloved introverts. There are some students I can think of who are massively introverted, and I always have to really work when I do, drama in the classroom or some other fun things just to be sensitive. What's some advice you can give us for those kids who are a little bit reluctant?
Yeah, a lot of these games you can do in partners. So just 2 people. So you could do a yes and story where it's just a 2-person, where they're going back and forth and have the whole class broken up like that. So they don't have to speak in front of everyone. Some of these things you can even do as individual activities and have them do on paper. So that kid doesn't need to necessarily speak up to the class, but they could be typing this out or they could be writing it out on paper. You can also have those students be the ones who you're like, all right, I need you to be my director here. I need you to be my conductor. So maybe they're the one who points to different kids to do conducted story, or you can have them be the one who's going to be the note taker. So if you're going to be doing a conducted story, they could be writing down the important bits of information and keeping track for the class.
So Mel, what is the most common mistake teachers make when trying to use improv in their classroom?
I would say trying to do too much. And so if you are putting in a game a day, or they say, okay, we're going to do improv, and the kids are going to get so excited and they're going to want to do it every day. And there's just not enough time in our days to get in all the content and curriculum that we need to get in. So say, making a time and saying, okay, we're going to do improv once a week and we're going to be doing it on Friday afternoons, or we're going to go ahead and put this improv in once a month and let the kids know that this is when it's going to happen. So they're not begging you, when do we get to do this? When do we get to do this? Because I can definitely say that I've had that happen with me quite a bit. Once they start getting into it, they get really excited and want to do more.
Okay, last question. And I have to ask this. Improv with preschoolers? I guess they just naturally improv everything.
Exactly. I've got a 5-year-old and I feel like my life with her is a large game of improv. So, yeah, that's the thing is that when they're preschool and they're kindergarten, it's a natural ability that kids have to just say yes and to go with it. Sometimes they're like, no. But in general, when they are creating their little play stories in their head, they're running with whatever is flowing. And so what we really need to do is encourage our kids to get back into that mindset of, you can create and you can roll with it. And it's just like when you were a preschooler and you were a kindergartner, we still have those skills.
Thank you, Mel. The book is Teaching Improv, the Essential Handbook. And in there, she has 9 rules for teaching with improv. And I definitely think this is something that we can all use. And I would even think that some of these may make great brain breaks, particularly if you have them getting up and moving around. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks so much.
E for Effort is a tool built upon the research behind helping students improve. For example, in their book Performance Management, Aubrey Daniels says that a small immediate consequence that is certain to occur, or effort scoring, is much more powerful in the behavior change process than large consequences. This would be grades in this example that occur in the future. I've written a full review on my blog about E for Effort, but I also want you to check out coolcatteacher.com/effort for more information on this system and start encouraging effort with your students. So today your podcast challenge is try one of these activities to bring improv into the classroom. But remember, yes, we could play it as a brain break, but your challenge is that you're going to relate it to content you are teaching. And then remember, educators who care share. We want to share with each other, share with people online what we're learning and what we're doing so that we can create a culture of innovation and exploration and learning and leveling up a little bit every day.